Right. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3.
Hey,
We
You can hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
uh-huh.
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Oh, okay, okay. Good night. Good night. I didn't know if you could hear me. Okay, good. Good night. Good night, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Missed you last week, but we're back at it here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. 90 minutes of father intellect conversations for fathers, about fathers, with fathers, on father issues. Getting the real crux of the matter and looking in today's diverse group of fathers with us, the fathers in the Fatherhood Think Tank. I welcome you to join us anytime. Bring some of that fatherhood spirit in the room. Tonight we have a extraordinary conversation. Tonight, uh, I I pulled I went and pulled some real rabbits out of the hat. Tonight's topic is: do kids stop seeing their dads when mothers decide her feelings matter more than the child's heart? Long topic, but I think we can get some real good conversation. And if you know somebody right now, hit them, lit them up, tell them to like, share, subscribe, join the conversation, listen to the conversation, to hear what we're going to say tonight. I am Dr. Ron, the curator of the Fatherhood Think Tank, and I'm going to take this moment right now to let the fathers who are here in the think tank tonight introduce themselves before we start our conversation. Gentlemen, good night.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ed Tenney. I am a soon-to-be single father of three great young adults. Uh, I have two grandbabies and one grandbaby on the way, and looking forward to tonight's conversation.
I don't mind going next. My name is Chuck Henry. I'm also a single father right now, raising two children of my own. They're wonderful. They keep me motivated and make me feel young as well. But I'm definitely looking forward to the topic tonight as well, and happy to be here.
Hi, gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Rohan Rodok, and I'm a father of two young adults. And as usual, it's a pleasure being here with you guys, fathers, sharing the knowledge.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 3 young women, 4 young men, a granddaughter, and a grandson. So it's always a pleasure to be here.
All right, with that being out the way, let me just go ahead and shoot right at the light. I know that one of the reasons we kind of got this topic because I was dealing with some social media stuff, posting different things, and this caught a lot of attention when I posted this, and so I was curious to see, what would we say? I know what the people were saying on social media, but I was curious what would we say as fathers about this situation, how we view it, being that we come from such a diverse lens of fathers who could, again, one thing I would say about the think tank is not monolithic. It is very multi-dimensional, thought-provoking men and fathers who may have some similar experience, who may not have any similar experience, but come with this and come to the conversation with the idea of being fathers and fathers first. And I think that's where we 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 change and we look at things in a different lens than a lot of people who may do a topic like this and how they may go about doing it. So tonight, I really want to hear some of your thoughts about this. This is almost turns into like a two-part thing. The idea of the father, stop seeing his children. The father and the mother makes that decision. Part two is she makes a decision based on how she feels. And then we always hear that famous word, what's in the best interest of the children. So I throw that in there and throw that whole conversation out there to kind of say, hey, I'm willing to at this point hear what people might just even, what's the first thing come off the top of their head when they think it, look at the topic, how they weigh it. Everything is on the floor, gentlemen.
All right. Let's get it started. Looking from different lens, looking from different people's culture, different people's behavior. I could say that is true, and then someone else could say it is false. However, we know feelings is real. Feelings. Some people operate in feelings, and some people operate in logic. Yeah, and unfortunately, the child or the infant usually gets caught in between both. So there are some cases where mom, based off feelings, decide her heart comes first more than the child. And sometimes the child is used as a weapon, so to speak, against the father. And it may be vice versa, but most cases, what I said earlier, different people do different things differently. And as we advocate for every child, I remember Lionel said this years ago. You can divorce the mom, but you can't divorce the child. So we hope that as we educate and empower more parents and so forth, try to learn some good traits that benefits the child. That's the key, because it's the child. The child is the one who both of you brought onto this earth, and to some extent, you both need to be responsible for the child. That's what I have to say about that topic.
You know what, Ron? I was sitting here thinking about. I think we don't acknowledge the trauma that goes along with the drama that we face, right? And so we don't understand that the fatherhood trauma that we face that comes from the baby mama drama, or better yet, vice versa. And I think it's interchangeable, right? And so I think that this topic is subjective. No, it doesn't apply to everyone. It can also be seen as one-sided because it goes from, speaks directly to the negative of the mom, and it almost makes the father the victim in the process. When the reality is, back to Rohan's point, logically, even if we don't get along, a dad's presence not just only just benefited a dad's presence in his child life not only benefits the child, but it also benefits the mother on so many levels. And so with that, because people don't acknowledge the facts more than their feelings, sometimes feelings supersede facts, and it takes time, because remember I told you there's a lot of trauma that comes with baby mama drama, and baby mama and daddy drama, so let me not be one-sided. So we got to acknowledge the trauma that comes along with drama. Oh, better yet, the trauma that causes the drama. That's a better way to say it. And so there's a logic that says that's the trauma that causes the drama. And there's also a logic that says that it takes time to grow from feelings back to facts, right? And so we have to acknowledge the fact that, yes, some feelings was hurt. Some people were disappointed. And not just assume that. And then we have to acknowledge that we failed a relationship, because we don't, as men, we don't really acknowledge the fact that, damn, you know what? I literally failed in your relationship with your mom. Or in some cases, I failed your mom. You understand? And I think what we try to do is we don't acknowledge the fact that we may have failed the mother, and just automatically try to reconcile those failures with the child. And so it's so many things that, so many layers on that onion that can be peeled back. But then I think as men, we have to be honest with ourselves to want to peel those layers back, and those layers starts with ourselves, as opposed to trying to peel the layer back on that mother or that particular child. And so, yeah, I think the topic is a little subjective, and depending on the circumstances, because I don't know what may have brought you to this point. You understand? And so we have to gather all those facts, you understand, to determine how a person should even feel. And do they even have a right to feel that way? To get them back to the facts of your mother, I'm the father, and that's the child, and how can we coexist for the betterment, not just of that child, because we always say, oh, it's got to be the betterment for that child. I'm like, no, it should be the betterment of everyone, because a healthy child will benefit from a healthy mother and father. The healthy child is just not going to become a healthy child on its own. It's going to be predicated on the health and well-being of the mother and the father. So I think that reconciling that relationship and understanding why that relationship have to be reconciled is something that we have to really think out. And I thank God for the think tank, because that's what we're here to do tonight. So I'm gonna leave it right there.
You know, like Born, I think that so glad this is I just have to say this is the reason why we have this think tank, right? Because I think in many instances there are people who have platforms and will bring things and won't acknowledge that something is subjective, or that it can be subjective, or just the reality that it's not a one-size-fit-all statement, right? And when I posted this and I seen the people who were discussing it underneath, back and forth, the one thing I just wanted to say to them is that, listen, it only fits in if it fits for you. This is not the law. This is not the truth. This is a statement. I mean, it could be at some point almost an opinion. So what happens is it doesn't discount the people who say, I experienced this, or I didn't experience this, or the people who say, this is the reason why I did this, this is the reason why these things happen. It doesn't, at no point, this is where we have to get to a point of understanding of how do you get to this kind of statement. And is this statement, this is the statement, what can you do for a solution for this statement? And can there be one? A lot of times we would rather keep the statement, the topic statement, than to look for a solution for it and stand on that to the end, right? Stand on this is right or this is wrong. Not saying, hey, it could be right in your situation, because I can think of numerous of situations where it didn't matter about the child's heart. The mother was thinking about the child's heart because of the breaking that was being done to the child. That's why father not seeing the child anymore. And I also seen the other side where the mother's heart was still so broken that she felt that the father wasn't feeling the same kind of pain she was. And many times we can see this, that the one thing that she could feel like she could hurt him with was this child that she had control over. And or he would have to fight to have a connection with. And sometimes, that makes it a difficult discussion to say, hey, this right, this wrong. because it's all, like I say, everything is in the context of what it is. We don't know the context. This is a general statement coming out, and this is why I thought it would be a good conversation for us to kind of evaluate this topic idea, because it would allow us to even show men who may be standing 10 toes down on this statement that there is another point of view from men who may even still face this type of situation, right? So that is the balance of it, because some people would love us to say, well, what about the accountability of the mother? What about this is if you want to go to a place that kind of talks about accountability of the mother, what the mother's not doing, what the mother is doing, that's fine. Then you might want to find a mother's group, but our group is kind of sorted towards for us fathers to empower ourselves and be able to make better understanding and choices about the things that may be affecting us as fathers. And that is it runs on the spectrum. It's not one size fits all. It runs on the spectrum of that. Every one of us have a different opinion about this. Some people have zero opinion because it's not something they ever even experienced, know nothing about. So when you present it to them and say, man, you got to pick a side, you're a man, so you should be on this. Or you're a father, you should, that won't be their experience. And vice versa. They won't, some people may be so wrapped into this actual statement that they can't even get out. So I just want to, I love to bring this kind of conversation and let people know where our minds is and how we're processing it. It's not, and, ooh, that's a hot, heavy topic. Oh, they're about to get it on. It's smashing time. No, none of that. It's really for us to, because I think that when we listen to this topic, when we discuss it, we will, without a doubt, begin to, as I would say in many instances, begin to evaluate it and look at how it affects us for our betterment as fathers. Not to use as, I think sometimes people like to use it as, well, see, this is my evidence. I'm going into, this is my court. Your Honor, here's my paperwork. Because I've seen cases recently where people felt like they was absolutely 100% ethical, morally correct in what they was going into court to do, and they didn't win because that wasn't the issue. That wasn't the facts. That's just not how it goes. So we can look at that as fathers in the same capacity. Look at this topic, look at what's going on and how we are seeing it, how we experience it, or how sometimes we don't, and not to, and at no time having to use it as a tool of hurting somebody or hurting a group of people anyway. So I just want to make that disclaimer and that knowledge that we're having this and not saying that, oh, well, this is factual or it's not factual. Listen, based on who the person is and their experience, it could be 100% what they believe and what happens, or it could be the total opposite. Who are we to know? We're just here to debate it and conversate about it. So I mean, not sound like I'm about to give another lecture speech. Let me get off the stoop for a minute and let's get back to more of a dialogue with the brothers out here. So
more and more folks have children, and it's nurture, nature, reproduction, whatever topic you want to give it. But most times, most people need to be trained. Most times, people are having children based off societal expectations, getting married, and most people are just gunning it. They're just pressing the gas. Don't know where the brake is. Don't know where to park. There's much more to it when it comes to having children. There's a lot involved. There's a lot of different speed. You go fast, slow, second gear, third gear, just for car terms. And many people should really exercise those venues to learn more. learn more when it comes to taking care of a child. Nobody's perfect. Let me make that clear. But it doesn't hurt to. I always say, the clubs are full and the libraries are empty. It's a saying I say a lot. Sometimes it should be reversed. The library should be full and the clubs be empty. But it is a thought to put out there to everyone. Don't be afraid to get trained to be a father, be a mother. Those training may come with benefits in the end. Food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hear from Chucky though. Chucky is a young father on here. It's very seldom we get that young voice, so I want to see how you feel about the topic.
I got you. I'm in the middle of trying to cook too, but I feel like I don't want to stay on one side of it, but I've seen a lot of females use kids as the pawn to try to make their father suffer. When in reality, the kid is the one really suffering because we adults. We've been heartbroken more than one time in a lifetime, but it'd be the kids that really be the ones suffering. But in my case, it's a little bit different right now. And then I can understand if a mom has a reason or a real reason, not just off of emotions and feelings behind it. But we in a society where some people care more about their feelings than facts, like y'all was saying earlier. So it's again, it's, like you said, it's an opinion, I feel like, as well. But from experience side of things, I have seen a lot more females use their kid as a pawn versus trying to let their father be a father.
Okay, and I definitely greatly appreciate it. Not only that, congratulations, man. I appreciate everything you're doing, particularly as a single father and a single full-time father. And so you're talking about you're a single parent in all the essence and very essence of that word. So thank you for your sacrifice. And no, you don't have to mention you're in the minority when it comes to men, but in the majority when it comes to women, because now I think you're going to be able, particularly as a single parent now, notice I said not as a single father, but as a single parent, to probably have more empathy towards what you're going through. Not now, maybe not today, but later on, once you experience more sacrifice,
Right.
with those children. I can tell you this, because remember I told you I have adult kids.
Right.
What I realized, how much, even if we was contentious together, I mean, even if I was contentious with the mother of my children, we had a contentious relationship, whatever the case may be. What I realized is I think we are so privileged with peace because with the child, we can fight, right?
Right.
And we tend to fight more in the child's peaceful times, right? But you don't discover the ally that you have, because you may think that mother may be the adversary. You really don't appreciate or discover the ally that you have in that mother until that child starts having problems. That's in your face. And so I never realized, because I thought that you could think that, you know what, men never get along. And both of y'all love kicking at the same time when that child starts having problems. And you'll find out how the facts of that child problems will override the feelings of you guys not getting along, just because you have a common enemy, which is the problem of that particular child. But all of that comes along with growth and time and experience. And so what you are today, you may not necessarily be tomorrow, particularly as parents, because it's the parenting that's going to actually bring you together. And sometimes it's the parenting that actually heal the relationships because really you're divided as partners.
Right.
But it's the parenting that actually mend your relationship back together and turns it into something more beautiful than the ugly thing you guys went through. So I'm gonna just leave that where it's at.
I get you, and the bad part is I don't have, like, we adults at the end of the day, so I can go to work with somebody I don't like. I'm not gonna let that affect me making my money for my family at the end of the day. So it's like I don't mind being cordial. So that's not my biggest problem. Trying to be more like what you want to say, like show empathy and everything. Like I'm all for it. Like I want to give my kids everything that I didn't have. And my dad, he died when I was young due to a car accident when I was 11. But before then, he wasn't with my mom as well. So again, I'm still just trying to push and fight to give my kids what they want, what I didn't have. But I can't force some people to grow when we all on our own time with growth and everything. So when the time comes for it, I'm still going to try to be open and for it and everything else. Because right now I'm not against anything that she wants to do. It's just the approach to it. Because at the end of the day, it's not me and her being affected as much as my child is in this case. So for like as far as his best interest, I'm more worried about his sanity right now at this time versus my own. But she gonna do what she do at the end of the day.
You know, I think that, you know, Chuck brings up a very important idea for us to also think about when we think about the diversity of this kind of topic, right? In a comment like this, I think Chuck says, you know, this is one of his children's mother, right? One of the children's mother, and the other child's mother, he has everything is a certain way, right? So that sometimes becomes like a justifier for us, right? So if I have 3 baby mamas, if I 3 ex-wives or whatever, and somehow if I believe that with 2 of them everything is good, it's just this one that's the problem, right? And I use the term the problem. We will then justify as men and say, well, see, she the one that got the problem. Because look, I have everything good with these other people. But I would caution in that, because sometimes that problem is not validated by the positive that we have with other people, right? Because other people are different people. Our relationships was different. What happened in those relationships was different. How those relationships established, how we ended those relationships could be different. You know, and so that other child's mother or that person may be they may be 100% right in what they feel or even what they believe in, because the relationship was just different. And that's a diverse, you know, that's an anomaly that sometimes we don't look at when we are facing like, yo, all my, you know, and I'm saying this as a father having children's mothers, but that's the same thing we see on the other side of the fence for the women. They'll say, you know, all of my, you know, sometimes my other children's fathers are cool, they're good, they pay their child support, we work together, this and that. It's just this one of the fathers, he's a nut bowl. He be doing all kinds of stuff, and I don't understand why. You know, right. I can't understand. And it's not exclusively about him. It's about understanding the dynamics in that relationship that happened. And I think Chuck said it all. Even though we have that issue, we have to then find a way to coexist, to establish as much as possible as a healthy relationship for each other, so our child can be healthy. Because our children are growing up today with so much access to and I'm gonna say this to what people don't see. Our phones, our devices, they are scrupulous, right? We don't even know how scrupulous they are, because a lot of people will tell kids, I don't want you on this and that, but go on YouTube, right? You can be on YouTube looking at the fun kid things on YouTube. But somehow it's easy for the fun kid stuff to creep into that is section for kids to turn into something that I'm sitting here and I sit in places and listen to kids on the phone playing games on the YouTube and saying, yo, this stuff I wouldn't even be listening to. This is not even stuff I would even entertain. It's these, you know, memes and these reels and they're being exposed to that. And sometimes as a parent, we just kind of saying, oh, this is something to keep them occupied for a little while. But I feel we have to be mindful. It's not just occupying, also infiltrating into their mind of how things should operate and how things are for them in their world. That as a parent, we wouldn't even look at those things. See, here's the point. as parents, we wouldn't even look at the things that some of our children are watching because of maybe the bad vibes that we would get from it. And our kids are watching it, and they're then using that as some of, I would say, the background on how they then interact within the world, and how they justify some of the things that's going on. Because if social media, you see the stuff that's happened on there. People are going. Listen, we could do the same thing on this show. We could go. We could meet before the show and say, okay, Ed, you gonna cuss Rohan out? You gonna do this? And then, Lightborn, we didn't gonna team up on Ed, bring up things and all these, and people be tuned in and look at, did you hear this? And because it draws that kind of attention, but that attention sometimes not even real. So you hear people making up things, making up skits, making up, reels that's not even a realistic thing. But our children, so young, so impressionable, can be sucking that in and then saying, "Oh, this is what I should be. This is how I should be." I remember last year I had a student and he knew every song that I haven't kidded this year. If he say, na, 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 yo, if I hear that one more time, and I said, "Do you even know what that song is? Do you even know it came?" Oh no, but he know it. Na, 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 na. But and this is where again, and I see this because the amount of time I spend with them, trying to educate and trying to. Sometimes the parents are just trying to survive with it, feed them, get them to bed. They don't really get to see a lot of it, and imagine if you're going between 2 or 3 different households. Sometimes it can even get shorter and shorter. So I just throw that out there for us to think about that. Our kids are vulnerable, and as the parents, we have to think about, yes, maybe how we feel, but we need to think about what's happening and what's going to happen to our kids based on our feelings. We're supposed to sacrifice some things when we have kids, and that might be one of the things we have to sacrifice our feelings about.
I agree. I got a friend of mine that used to buy kids. Used to buy his son and his daughter some clothes, and if the mom didn't like the brand or how much the stuff cost from whatever store, she wasn't giving it to the kids, and then it was like he wasn't doing nothing because it wasn't to her liking and stuff like that. That was her being her feelings. So like the kids are still being affected by it because he's trying as a man, and then after so much trying, people get tired of trying, but they quick to try to label you as a deadbeat, but they don't say everything. They don't give you the whole story for the most part. It's always one side a little bit. But again, like I done talked to a few of my friends lately, and we've just been talking about the accountability because sometimes like you were saying about earlier, like how about the car, about how fast people be moving fast and slow and all that. People be jumping deep in it and not even realizing the people that they getting into things with. And now we got a baby here, and now we got to learn each other all over again, basically. So accountability is a part that I feel like a lot of people are missing right now because people are so intrigued by negativity and like you're saying, all the little crazy stuff going on online.
I'm going to let Tenny jump in, and then I'll go ahead and I'll come right behind Tenny. Tenny, you got something to say? Please let us say, because let us come from your wisdom. Let us glean. That's the word I'm looking for. Let us glean off of your wisdom. Please jump in.
Oh man, all I know is that depending on the circumstance, I heard the word sacrifice earlier. Somebody has to make the sacrifice to humble themselves, to I guess bring that kid up in the best way that they can possibly bring that kid up. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to be a co-parent of a young kid. The only thing that I would kind of add is that you have to find points of united fronts And if you can find some common core value points where you can both stand united on, in spite of however you may feel about the other person, I think that will reign supreme in the bringing up of that child, because then the child will see the co-parents standing firm in a given area. And it may not be every area, but hopefully you can get like one or two um, points where you both are just a united front end. I think that will help override any feelings, because you have an understanding of where you both are going to stand, and feelings are irrelevant to what you had toward that other person. But it's going to take sacrifice, because if you're angry, if you're hurt, if you're upset, and you've got all these emotional things going on toward your partner, you're going to have to set that aside for the common good of raising up that child. And I think the best way in doing that is picking a core value that you both can stand on, and then build on that as the years go on.
Wow.
But you know what? I think, particularly as fathers, I think we have a lot of misnomers, misinformation, because we put so much pressure and burdening on our children by saying that our children are our legacy. I'm gonna tell you factually and emphatically that your children are not your legacy. And I'm talking factually now, because I know that's what's been pushed on us, and it's missing information. Because your children was never your legacy. And you know what your legacy is? You got two things, the two C's of legacy. The first C of legacy, that's your legacy, is your character, right? And the only legacy that's greater than your character is your cause, right? Now let me see if I can prove that. Okay. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King has impeccable character, right? We he don't have perfect character, but he does have impeccable character. And so his character, right, is good, right? His name, Martin Luther King, here, Martin Luther King. Most people say, you do a reference check on him, they say, oh, that's a good man. That's his character. But his cause, right, supersedes his character. And so when you hear Martin Luther King is synonymous with civil rights, the injustice, the poor people plight, blah, blah, blah. Now, notice that none of his kids, right, even though they may have equal character to their dad, their character never overrides his cause. And so what we're taught is we put so much pressure on our kids to be the legacy. We never understood that our children was not our legacy. Our character was. And so when you understand that your character is your legacy, you would be just as intentional to rear your character as you are to rear your kids, or better yet, to raise your character as you are to raise your kids. And I think oftentimes we'll be more accountable to our kids than we are to our character. And see, and that's the thing about it. We'll compromise our character, back to our original point, for our feelings. And so our character is always negotiable when our cause to be a father or a mother is not. And I think half of the time, or most of the times, our character needs to match our cause, right? And so we could take so much pressure. And so that's why we're always using the kids as a pawn, because our character haven't really kept up with our cause, or caught up with our cause. And I'm going to be honest with you, half of the time we don't even know our cause. And so what we have left is character, and you got two characters fighting against each other over a child, because nobody have really discovered their cause. You understand? Because after a while, what you're doing to each other, you're going to eventually do to that child, because you want that child to be your legacy, when your legacy was really your character and your cause. That will outlive your children. And so you ever notice that great people don't have, their children don't normally grow up to be just as great as they are? You would think if I'm going to leave my greatness behind, my child going to be even just as great or even greater than I was. But it usually peak rather at that particular person, be it Martin Luther King, Michael Jordan, whoever, Michael Jackson, whatever. And so, right, the legacy is always, it starts with the character, but it ends with the cause. And so you have to be that child's parent. You understand? And sometimes that child, that can be deadly for that child, because that child can fall into all kinds of depressions, trying to live up to your character and your cause that was never meant for them. And so they'll feel inadequate. And after a while, you start to feel inadequate, you start to feel invaluable. And then now you have the children committing suicides because I can never live up to what I think my mother and father think I should be, or be in their legacy, when the truth of the matter, the legacy was never the child. It was always your character and the cause you was actually playing for. And so that's just something I just wanted to throw out there, just to take the pressure off all of us, because we're not just putting pressure on each other as mother and father, but we also put a lot of inadvertent and unconscious pressures on the children that's contributing to the suicide rates.
Well, Chuck, you're getting the golden nuggets in that, Paul.
When,
go ahead, Ron.
Ron, it's like you froze or something.
You froze, right?
Somebody saying something? Let me.
Well, you froze for a minute, but we can hear you now.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like, well, let me say something to what you just said, and I think this is pinnacly important to parents. They need to take especially fathers, take a laser-like focus on how we act and what we present to our children, and how it may affect them and who they are. You know, I say this all the time, and sometimes we don't think about it, is there's casualties of war. And a lot of times they're not the physical ones. They're the people who feel, guilty for not being in the war, not being on a certain side, the stress of I'm in a war with two people in between a war that I'm connected to both ways, and I'm trying not to pick sides, or even I have picked a side and didn't want to, but I had to pick it for survival. And I want us to be mindful of that. I think as fathers, and there's a lot of us as fathers who may use some of the resentment and some of the pain that we have had from not being with our children the way we want to, and we can't really take it out on the mom. And so we sometimes will give that energy to our children when they are in a place. And I've heard people say, well, if she was with her mom, she ain't calling me, she ain't do this. So she don't need to, what's she calling me? What he trying to get with me for now? They only call me for money. You start hearing those kind of things from fathers who clearly, to me, I know that they have some pain about their experience with their child based on what they believed, or maybe what are their perception of how their child acted the way they acted during the time of this disconnection. But a part of this is you being the parent, right? We are we not just be the parent. You're the man. You're supposed, not to say our feelings don't matter, and if we don't have a right to. It's okay to hurt us and do things to hurt us, because we should be able to take it. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we also will know that, are we trying to be men? Are we trying to be tit for tat men? We got to be, and what I mean by that is,
no,
you know what I'm. Listen,
no,
I'm trying to find
because I watch too much TV, and so you ain't just. He said, "Are we trying to be men, or we're going to be mice?" And I was like, "Mice." So immediately that just came to mind. No, but I didn't mean to mess up your
But
mother.
I think that. Listen, that's a better example. I think you give me a better example. We're gonna be men, we're gonna be mice. Because mice goes, they sneak around, they hide from the cat, but they go and steal everything that they can and feel like, they have a way to operate. They're not bold like rats. Rats are bold. Mice are weak. They don't stand up. They don't say, hey, it's okay. Listen, it's okay, my baby, that you didn't talk to me for 10 years. Because it never mattered. Because inside you was inside of me, regardless if you talked to me or you didn't talk to me. I'm not holding anything against you because you're a child. See, the part that we sometimes forget is the children, regardless of how they got here, did not ask. They wasn't knocking at your door and say, "Hey, man, could you have me? Can I come and be with you and her?" They didn't ask, but they didn't say any of that. We did what we did to create them, and then we wasn't able to maintain them. And not maintaining them puts them in a disadvantage in life. And if you couldn't, and I understand, some of us can't maintain ourselves. So sometimes it takes, and I've seen this, and I continue to say this, that fathering does not end at 18.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ed showed us that he can still go and father. At what age? At what age you still fathering that? 20, 30, 40. You still fathering that? Fathering those because them are still our children. And no matter what has happened with us or not with them, it will not stop being us being the person who knows them, and they know we know them because they are part of us. See, that this is the part that we get out of sometimes. When I hear somebody say, that child ain't nothing like me, I don't understand. That's not true. When I hear somebody say that, I have a belief, and I can probably do a research or a case study on them and show that they are more common and alike than anything else. When I hear somebody, man, that kid got nothing, we not even alike, nothing, because you are too much alike. That's why you don't think y'all anything alike, because you're too much alike and you can't even see it. And sometimes, here's the point: we don't see it as the fathers, as the devil, but the kids do, because they have a different view. They ain't just seeing us; they also seeing us in the context and the glasses of the other person who is also their parent. So the other parent can present something, and that be, oh wow, my dad or my mom is like that. I never thought about that, and you sometimes don't get it. So I say give ourselves some grace, and remember that when the time comes, you have to be like that third string D1 football player. When the coach say the game on the line, everybody in front of you hurt, I need you to come out here and perform. And you get off the bench and give it your all and win the national championship. You win it. Third string on the bench, been passed over 4 years. You a red shirt, fifth year, red shirt senior. This is the first game you're getting into. All that time you've been at the school, coach ain't even act like he's seen you. But he's seen you now. This is how we got to be ready for our children when they come for us. You can't be like, man, you need my help now? You ain't called me the whole 5 years I was here. That's not manly to me. That's not a manly way. And a lot of times, remember, you can do that with their mom because they're grown adult just like you. But your child is not. Your child did not ask you and the mom to play Marvin Gaye and Let's Get It On for you, because that's the only way you got. That's the only way you got here. It wasn't like, the stork came and dropped the baby off the yard that y'all was responsible. Y'all made some strong, hard decisions and some sweaty, hot nights to get to where y'all wanted to bring that baby here.
Right.
I agree with you on that one, Dr. Ryan. My daughter, my oldest. She got a social media platform of her own, and we could hardly talk to her on the phone though, because she's so, I guess, caught up in the social media world at least. But I feel as though that her own feelings is eating her up to the point that she tries to stay away, I guess, not communicate as much, because her and my daughter relationship ain't as good as she wanted it to be. But again, like you said, you just got to be ready. We gotta stay ready, basically. But I last spoke to her. My birthday was recently on the 16th. She texted me before that, asked me what did I want for my birthday, and I said I wasn't even expecting a gift, but I said a phone call would be nice. And then I haven't heard from her.
So Chuck, what age group?
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me ask you something, Ron. I'm sorry, Ron. Chuck, you were saying
Stay ready, so I don't gotta get ready.
this was your. Who called and asked you what do you want for your birthday? Was it your kid's mother or your kid?
She reached out on social media at least.
So this was your child's mother.
Yeah, my oldest.
Okay, I'm gonna show you something that you can't see, and this is the whole purpose of the Fatherhood Think Tank, because I glean so much on all these guys. Like I watch, like Teeny. Teeny doesn't know it, but I really admire him. My wife loves him. She don't love you, boy. She loves me, but she loves him. She loves his character and his disposition. But I'm saying it to say this. What you don't realize, Chuck, is what most parents go through. With the sacrifice thing, you say your kid's mother's on social media. And so one thing when it comes to being a parent, there's only one thing that being a parent jeopardizes. Do you know what that is, Chuck? Take a wild guess.
Relationships?
No. Take anybody on here, tell them what it is. There's one thing that gets sacrificed the most when it comes to being a parent. Y'all know what that is?
What's that?
Time.
Your dream.
I'm allowing her to chase hers. That's the crazy part.
That's what I'm trying to show you with. Right. So what happened is you experiencing a woman who's between being a parent and tracing her dream. Most of us, and I'm gonna be honest, and this is probably one of the major reasons for fathers or any parent for that particular matter being absent, is that one reason, that particular dream. And so if we think that the child, that being a parent competes with that dream and you can't have both, you understand? That's where the dilemma comes in at. And so what you just told me, I peeped it immediately. The only reason I peeped it immediately is because I'm an older father, because I have adults now. You understand? But if I was at your age and in your situation, I would never been able to see it. And so right now, it doesn't mean she's so much of a bad person or a bad mother. She just do something that we're not accustomed to seeing most mothers and most females do. And that's choose the dream over the child. Because if she chose the child over the dream, guess what? Your child won't be living with you right now. He'll be living with her.
Right.
And so that's the situation. And I'm going to be honest with you, for the most part, you're in the position to give women what women give the men all the time. And that's the benefit of the doubt. And so we rarely see it coming from the vice versa end. Most likely, we'll give men the opportunity to find themselves to become a better father for their children. It's very rare you'll see fathers giving mothers a chance time to find themselves to become better mothers to their children. It's always vice versa. And so it's a very, very unique animal. And not calling anybody animals, but when I say animal, I'm talking about metaphorically. That's the situation you're in, because what you call, Chuck, you're what they call uncommon. And again, remember I told you, you're in the minority. You're doing a great job, but you're still in the minority. And because you are in the minority, you understand, it makes her look very strange, because we're so used to seeing the sacrifice come from her end and not yours. I'm gonna leave that right there for now.
I get it. I fully understand.
And if I may interject, good evening, brothers, brother Johnny Gaspar, father too. Grateful to see you guys here this evening. When like Warren said, we generally give the father the benefit of the doubt of becoming a better father. We don't give that to the mom. I think part of it is because oftentimes the mom has, we believe, more practice.
She's been with the child from day one. And a lot of times she's not even allowing the father to have any time with the child. So it's hard for him to be a better father when he's not getting a chance to practice. Where she, on the other hand, is getting practice all the time. Whether that's good or bad, it's really up to her. But the mindset, I think, a lot of times, because she is the parent that is with the child from the beginning, that she should be the one that has more knowledge or understanding on how to be that parent, because he's not getting a chance to be the father that he may want to be in most often in a lot of situations. Not all the time, but a lot of situations. So I think that's why oftentimes the father gets the benefit of the doubt and not the mom.
And
I'll go
it's,
there.
it's also a little bit different because I know more situations where like a father would be able to get his son at this age because she's 15. And
Yeah.
I don't know how to be a woman. I just know how to be a man at the end of the day, but I definitely know I'm doing my best. Like right now, she just grades just went in and she just made honor this semester. I mean this marking period. So like her grades been improving as long as she's been with me for the last few years. So I don't beat myself up too much, but I mean sometimes the conversation go a long way. That's all.
I hear that.
You know, Chuck, to add to what the nuggets that you're getting tonight. Yeah, I always say to all fathers and your father, this group is an anchor. You know, boats have anchors, right? With all that goes on in the ocean, you need an anchor. We all need an anchor somewhere we can put that anchor and just stop and just listen and just learn. And as you go along this journey, I would say to you, many people talk about conflict, and many times the system is designed where it is paired against you're in front of the person, there's always that conflict.
Are you sure you want to
I say to you, change that narrative. Go to your child's mother and hold her hand if she will allow you, or if it's safe to do so, and say, let's do this together. If she can't give you 100% of the time, give me 30% of the time. We are going against the conflict together. And those are some of the traits. So since you're here and you know we want you to be here, do things different. Don't do the norm. Because we talk about that tonight. Many people are doing the norm and getting the norm results. You make that difference, Chuck. And once you approach it that way, I believe you can get some real difference. Remember, at the end of the day, the mom can say, you know what, he wasn't the best boyfriend or husband, but she can say you were a good dad.
Oh yeah, they can't take that away from me to this point at all. But I fully understand. I got you for sure.
Can I tap into something Dr. Ron said earlier? He talked about warfare and casualties of war. I would like to dig a little deeper into that because I think we as men are endowed with this ability to strategize, to overlook a situation, determine which path we need to go, which direction we need to go. I think some of that is just God built into a man. And once we become fathers, I think our objective not necessarily changes, but the strategic analysis begins to change, because we don't want our children to become casualties of this war. And I think we need to own up to that responsibility. And I'm not generically saying that we don't. I'm just saying that that is something that is built in us that we don't necessarily put in the forefront of our brain as we go through life. And by gosh, the last thing I was thinking about was in raising my kids is I did not want them to be a casualty of this battle for them physically, for them mentally, emotionally, um, and I think that if we as fathers can maybe change our perspective a little bit when we're raising our kids, we will find ways to not allow circumstances to get at that child, to be a casualty of war. And I commend you, Chuck, because you're doing the do, and you're not allowing your kids to be a product of this pull that's coming after our kids. So um, that's kind of all I wanted to say. I think there's something placed inside of a man that changes when we become fathers, that we need to really hone in and protect our kids.
Ron, and I think Ron may be able to speak that. Ron may be able to speak to this. But sometimes, Chuck, in the aspect of not wanting them to be a casualty of war, sometimes the only way we can allow that to not happen to them is to step away. And you guys have we've talked about this many times where many of fathers have literally been like, you know what? Your mom is not going to let me be the dad I need to be to you. And every time I come around, it's a negative. It's fight. It's all of this stuff. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna just step back, and I know you're gonna get older one day, and you're gonna get the story. And when you finally get a chance to talk to me, because mom has been anti-dad, you'll get the truth, and hopefully you'll get a different story. And some men, that's the way they take the step, Tinny, to say, nah, you're right. I'm not going to let my child be a casualty of war. But even in the stepping back, they still end up being that. Even in us not fighting, with mom, they still end up being that casualty because the child then loses out on that male figure, that father in their life. So the things that they end up encountering throughout their life still ends up making them a casualty of the war. So the only way that we can potentially avoid that is to become understanding of how the system allows us to be a father. I had a young man the other day, and I tried to get him to come on. He just turned 21, brand new father. He was a father of a teenage mother and teenage father that fought there and still fight to this day. And now here he is now trying to be involved in his son's life, and he's getting the same pushback from the mother of the child. So he reached out to God Daddy lawyer Jag and say, how can you help me so I can be involved in my son's life? And I said, okay, let's file the papers. He said, what papers? He said, am I going to be on child support? That's the first thing he asked. I said, yeah, you're going to have to if you want to have time with your child, you're going to have to financially be able to take care of him. Mm-hmm. Whether that means, as sometimes Rod said, we always talk about the money. No, but you got to be able to take care of the child when he's with her and you don't have him. So he said, okay, that's okay. I'm going to figure it out. I said, okay. So we went through, I prepared the papers for him. He went and filed everything. He got her served with the documents. Now they're scheduled to go to mediation. So he called me the other day because I told him I wouldn't be your attorney in this because I'm not involved in the fight. I just want you to be prepared. So he said, well, I got mediation coming. What should I do? So I told him, well, this is what you want to do. And I told him what all to do. I said, this is how because he's been fighting with her so much. The other day, there was an instance where I think she normally takes the child to daycare. So he would go to the daycare to see the child. And when he showed up, the child wasn't there. Come to find out, she kept the child home because she went out the night before. So now him and her on the phone, and the new dude decides he want to jump in on the phone on the conversation.
Mhm.
So y'all know now we men, so you know this what this going at it, right?
Mhm.
So I said, the guy said something crazy too. I said, so you stayed on the phone? He said, yeah. I told him he ain't got. I said, man, just hang up the phone and leave that alone. We gonna handle this in the court. Don't worry about that.
Right.
So I think that's the way we are the only way we truly are able to not make our children casualties of war is to go to court, to war, Tinny, from that perspective. Because
All right.
then at least now he would have some time sharing involved. He doesn't have to beg her to see his son. He doesn't have to fight with her about whether or not he can make a decision about his son's life, because the court said he has the right to. And the moment she wants to make it a war about him getting to see his son, all he got to do is call the police and show them his time sharing on the paperwork. And they gonna call her and say, you better bring that child here now.
That's right.
Otherwise, we're gonna set a warrant out for your arrest.
That's right.
And he didn't have to say a word. And I've had to guide a lot of young men, and when that happens, when that paperwork is in place, all the drama stops.
Oh, drama stops.
Well, Jazz Bob, but you said one thing. The first sign of sacrifice, or the first sacrifice for a man is child support.
That's it.
And I'm like, and if you can't make that sacrifice, you're not going to be able to make the rest. And so a lot of people don't understand child support is a very small.
Oh, I was just about to say, I know Rob gonna say
Very
something about
small.
that.
Support. I mean, when I say small, it's a very small support.
No. I just want to. Because as I listened to the conversation, I want to bring in a caveat that we sometimes disregard. And when you start talking about child support, that caveat comes from there, because if we know fathers who have decided to leave and separate with the mother, the first thing he thinks about is the finances, how his child will get taken care of. He talks it over with the mother, all that, right?
Yeah.
But we have to go back to the root of it, why a lot of this war happens.
Because of feelings and emotion.
We know that people get married.
You're right.
No, yeah. One more. Listen, even before that, right? The core of it, again, shameless plug. But I spent 10 years researching it. Non-consensual fatherhood. And when someone has sex with someone with not the plan to have any child, have anything in that nature, the society has said you have a responsibility because you had sex with that girl. They say this all the time. Not you decide to have a child with the girl, you decide to have sex with that girl. So now you are responsible to do all the things that a man who says, I'm going to find me a wife, I'm going to start a relationship with her. Oh, we're going to get married. Oh, we're going to make a decision on when the best time for us to have kids, because we both feel like we're in a place to have kids, to take care of them, and because our relationship as two people is tight. That person, that young, even old person, has to do all of those things that they had no plan to do. That's not what's in their mix. Their mix was, as I said, they had the Marvin Gaye on, they have a good time. And so
I got to push back against that, Ron. You're not, because it doesn't.
The cognitive dissonance for them is part of the problem. What happened?
No, go ahead.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying.
I'm gonna push back on that, because I know we've been.
Say,
Go ahead.
let me just land a plane, because a lot of times we will say we disregard the idea that a lot of people, not just the men, but the women didn't want to have the children. But the problem with that, if a woman decides she doesn't want to have a child, she has the option to make that choice. There are many men out here who have multiple children with multiple women, and they never knew because the woman never had no child. Because she either she had the means or she didn't want to. Any of those things. But you have to begin to think about how the pain plays, because the pain of getting a woman pregnant, right? And then the idea that you don't want that baby with her is psychological to this woman, because she done gave you something
Mhm.
that because if she not that kind of woman, she don't care if you got her pregnant. She done got her morning after pill. She already had the abortion clinic as soon as she realized. But when you're talking about a woman who has made a decision that this is something sacred, something that's special, that she wants to try to make it work, it becomes this war right then for those two people.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't believe that you, because, listen, what's the classic thing that a man says to a woman who not planning to have a baby? What's the
Mhm.
That's not
first
my
thing he
baby.
say to her when she say, "Oh, I'm late, my period late, I haven't seen her, I think I'm pregnant"? What's the first thing he say?
You
What's
sure
the
that's
first
my
thing he
baby?
say?
Are you gonna keep it?
No,
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
That first thing he say, well, see, whoever said is she showed my baby. That's a different.
Is it mine?
The
Get rid
first
of
thing is are you gonna keep it? And at that point, that statement is where the war begins. Is where the war begins, because at that moment, that woman is feeling like, I had this experience with you because I've been told that this experience, giving of myself, is a prize to you.
It's a price.
And this is the product of the prize. And you are about to discard me and the prize.
Okay, because I know Lightburn want to interject, Ron. Can I say this?
And that's where the war starts.
I hear you, and I've heard you about the non-consensual fatherhood. That's the non-consensual parenting, right?
Right.
Now, the law says you had a reasonable expectation that once you put your penis into a vagina and ejaculate, that there's a reasonable belief, regardless of whether you wear protection or she's on a pill, that there may be a product of that transaction, which is a child. So despite your
Listen, I agree with that. Johnny, I agree with all of that. I'm just saying that when you're asking why are people acting and why are these things happening with them and their emotions and feelings, we have to go to the root. The law don't give nothing about how somebody feels and what they sometimes feel pressured into when they didn't want to do something. Listen, you think that every woman who had a child wanted to have a child, but the society told her, what kind of woman would you be if you don't be a mother to that child?
Correct.
The society doesn't give that same, don't give that same indictment to a man. The man can have 20 kids and not see or be involved with any of them, and still be, people will celebrate him, come and say, oh, we want you to come and speak out there, do all that. A woman does not have a child, she will lose any credibility almost being a woman, because we live in a society who equate being a woman with motherhood, not with being a woman who makes decisions to do what she wants, because that's going back into the patriarchy. So when we're thinking, I'm just saying, let's think a little bit about what's the root causes of some of this, because it's not just the set, because many people who go through the process, boyhood, a childhood, boyhood, manhood, husbandhood, fatherhood, normally have a high percentage of not having these kind of problems most of the time, because they went through the 5 hoods. And going through the 5 hoods made them more acceptable and more able and ready to be able to do the things you need to do as a father.
I agree.
And not have this type of turmoil.
But Ron, now
I'm just
this
listen.
is where,
Listen, if you don't believe,
I'm not saying I don't believe you.
When you check marriages, when you check marriages, the research shows when you check marriages that produce children, the ones that produce children, a minimum of 5 to 10 years after the marriage, the relationships last and the children grow up in a different environment than the children who are usually born before the marriage are at the same time that the marriage happened.
Okay. So
It's not a lot of times the choice of the people who are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have no problem with that. I think when we talk about root causes, Ron, when we're talking about root causes, well, let's go back to the root causes and accountability. You know, the three injustices, the greatest three injustices in the world is racism. No, but I have to use it because it's factual.
I'm messing with you, dog.
No, I know that. I know. But the three injustices in the world is racism, racism, sexism, and classism. I think because of that, it's amazing how, because I think we'll be more empathetic if we understood that. I think most times we don't. And so we're very anti-racism, you understand? But we're on the fence when it comes to sexism. And so we use certain, like we claim or we accuse white men of having white privileges. I'm like, well, it's the same thing with men. We have male privileges, whether we're black or not. And so the fact that you can say consensual fatherhood, and I think where that becomes offensive to a woman is because you're saying that you have a right to use procreation as a recreational tool. And that's when, so I say, because procreation for a woman will never be recreation. And most of the time, sex.
Right. Listen, you prove my point. You prove my point, Lightborn. You prove the point that I'm making. Because you're saying that as if the man is the only one who has responsibility to believe that. So the woman is exempt of the idea of using, because listen, she did not, when she went to go say she about to pop it with the man, she didn't say, I'm going to pop it with him and I'm not worried, I'm not thinking about not getting pregnant. She's going to pop it just like he was going to pop it.
Well, remember what I told you.
You can't say that. If you want equality, you gotta be equality. You gotta be equality.
No, you can't, because what you're saying is hypothetical, but what's literal is racism, sexism, and classism does exist. And because that sexism does exist, because you're saying equality, but I'm like, but no, you can't speak from equality because there is no equality when it comes to sexism. And so, and with that being so, you can't put the woman on the same level as a man because logically that's not true. And so because of that, you got to give her the same grace.
Benefit of the doubt.
Right, benefit of the doubt because of sexism that you would get because of racism. And oftentimes we don't give women.
You support the idea of belittle, because a feminist will have a major, as a part feminist that I am, would have a major issue with this idea to say, oh, I don't have any accountability for what happened to, because men are the ones who really control everything that happens.
Well, I didn't say that you don't have any accountability. What I am saying is you don't have any when it comes to the rights. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when it comes to the what do you call it? And we talk about injustices, so that let's just put it like that, the justices that goes along with it, right? And so, what was the consequence when a man walk away, other than child support? When a man abandoned his child, what's the consequence? Nothing.
Jail, child support.
No, it's not even that. You get the child support, and that's about it. You might get the jail, and Gaspar, he's an attorney, he can back this up. You might get the jail as a consequence of the child support.
Right.
You're not going to get the jail without the child support. And so what happens is when a man walks away, there's no, and back to your point, Ron, when it comes to accountability, where's the accountability?
It's just a deadbeat.
He walks away. That's right. It. And so, and even if you just call him a deadbeat, I'm like, yeah, but that don't matter to me because I still got to walk away scot-free.
That part.
Comes to a woman, child support, and matter of fact, children protection service.
You're almost saying like doing that. Men can walk away conscious free of not even ever caring about any child or anything else. That was
they do it every day. That
argument is good, a good argument that people might say, but the argument is flawed in the idea as a human being. If you know that there's a part of you somewhere you want to be with. That's part of being a human.
you're talking, right? But you're still talking hypothetically. We're talking statistically now. Now, I'm saying statistically, and you know it's statistically true. I'm like, what's the consequence? I just asked you a simple question. What's the consequences of a man abandoning his child? Other than
I'm sure some men going to attest that they was ran away, but I don't know. I mean, I can't really speak too much further than that because I don't even friends. I can't even say I hang with anybody that I know is a deadbeat.
Right, because but understand, and you remind me of me because you can be the very person that set the tone that whether you decided to take your child, guess what? It caused a ripple effect. And I can say the same thing for my friendship. I don't, even the friends I don't like, they still was good father because we was intentional about being good fathers in that particular group of guys. You understand? It was not a given, it was not a compromise, it was not an option, it was an objective. And what I am saying, and this is back to Tenny's point, when we're talking about having objective of manhood, we talk more about this conversation was more about the options of manhood and not the objective. What does the objective of manhood look like versus the option? And for the most part, we got all the options, but we have no definitive objective of what manhood really looks like. And that's where the casualties of wars begin because we
have multiple listen, like when they say that we have multiple examples, but because we are such a diverse people, they look different in every demographic. So in some demographics, how something looks, listen, I take the Caribbean, I think that there are Caribbean men who have multiple children, but they're very good fathers to all those children, to all those families. To someone looking into that family and say, now this is horrible because this man got all these women with all these children. That's them saying he doesn't look good as a man because he has multiple children with multiple women that not only all of their fathers, he takes care of all. I think about it. I just recently was watching this show, a show, and an Asian man had two families. He was tracking Godzilla, and he got two families. And he went missing, and they thought he was dead. And the kids went looking and found out that they dad.
I saw coincidentally. I
thought it was. I loved it. I loved it so much because I thought this is the one time we are able to see a non-black person caught in this situation, and the explanation is fine because the justification was. He loved both of the kids. He took care of them. He lived in two different places with two different families. Now, both of the mothers were not very happy about any of it. Nor was the children initially happy to find out that they had siblings, that their dad was somewhere living a double life. But in the true point of what you were saying, he took the full responsibility and accountability for his family and for his kids. So then this is what I'm saying, that it becomes a who's the judge and the jury. That's where it becomes.
Go ahead, Chuck.
I was gonna say I want to blame a lot of the music to play a lot of parts of some of these relationships as well, because some of these big celebrities that everybody look up to for whatever reason, like Cardi B, for example. Like, she was just married, but then now she got a new baby dad. Like, and then you got songs called F Your Baby. Like, it's so much negative being promoted, and it's just what people are tuned into, and that's how they react and responding to it. Because like I feel as though for my age, for me to be 39, love music stopped in about 2000 when I got out of school, about 2005. Like real love music. Like now today, like I don't feel as though my daughter heard a real love song yet. Listen to Chris Brown and all the other people that's out there that's on the air.
It's part of their warfare.
So it's kind of hard. It's like none of this music even setting people up to be married and have a happy family and all that. Like it's all for the moment type of music. Because some of the songs you hear right now was getting right to the point. Who getting what tonight? Like they not even. I don't even know if they eating right now. They just asking a simple question, get right to it. I see. Like it's like
now,
the music definitely.
Chuck, I got to push back on that. Here's why. What Cardi B them doing now, men have been doing since the inception of hip hop.
Okay.
You understand? And so all of a sudden, morality matters in hip hop when the woman starts to take ownership of her sexuality and says, you know what, I'm not going to, matter of fact, as suppose that somebody else exploit me, I will exploit me. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to own my sexuality, and I'm going to say whatever I say, and I will control my sexuality the way I decide it should be controlled and distributed. Men have been doing it for years. As a matter of fact, if we went 20 years, and this is factual, and everybody on here can attest to this, in hip hop, we went 20 years as suppose thinking pimping was a principle. Do you understand? I'm talking factually now. And so now you got, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, well, man, Jay-Z just did a very eloquent interview today with GQ. But I'm like, well, JC, I'm like, you just reaping what you sowed. Don't say the sexual allegations is what hurt you the most. You understand? But you was a part of that congregation that was about pimping. I mean, your product was pimping. And so I think we victimize and traumatize women, and we expect no, back to your original word, accountability for those particular actions because we just got right. And we assume when we get right, the whole world needs to get right with us. And that's not the facts. That's not even practical, and it's not accountable. And so and the first person I have to talk to about this really is me, because I have to really explain and understand the contribution of how I contributed to my own trauma of what I'm going through right now.
I get it. I get it.
Lightborn, let me just say this, Chuck, to Lightborn. Lightborn, listen, I can 100% agree about everything you're saying. The only pushback I have is for that 3 or the 4%, right, of people that it don't fit for, and they having hell wreaked on them, and people are saying, "Oh, it's with your own fault. It's your own." When they are the person doing the right thing and doing the things the right way, when they met into a person who's not a good person, don't matter if you're a man or a woman, the person's not a good person.
Right.
They didn't know the person was not a good person, just like women don't know a man not a good person when they meet him. The man didn't know she wasn't a good person. He didn't know. But and to say that then because of your narrative, it's okay for that person to be receiving that and that to be happening to. And I think that starts a trend of narrative baiting, as I would call it, narrative baiting that then puts us all in another jeopardy.
But Ron, and what you're saying is, and I respect 100% of what you're saying, but there's just one last question I have to ask you, Ron. What success is built on 3 to 4%? Give me any success that was built on 3 to 4%. Nothing. No success is built on 3 to 4%. And so what I am saying is, because when you tell me that you're going to factor in the 3 to 4%, and we have to analyze.
I'm saying that the 3. I'm not saying that they should be the success. I'm saying that don't throw people out in the garbage, because if you do that, it only continues. Listen, the balance I used to have when I worked in domestic violence, the major balance that we could be able to reach a place for balance was that to get people, men and women who did not believe domestic violence was a whole thing. They thought it was one individual thing, right? And being able to show them that it wasn't, because soon, and the reason why I was doing it is because eventually there is people who are suffering in the party of people who are the power people who are suffering from it because of that. Because people do not believe that these people, nothing happens to them. Everything they do is right. They're only victims. They can never be listen, I just did a case. Two days of testimony for a man who was trying to save his life in this country over allegations of what he allegedly did, right? What really the issue was, we didn't take into consideration of his his balance of power because he had no power. Yes,
Correct.
he in his country would have had power, but in this country he had no power. And the woman had all the power, and she exhorted that power. And people say that's good. Finally, a balance check. But you're playing with people's lives like.
But no, but just,
And we don't
again,
have to.
Justice and Raw, Gasbar can account for this. That the same thing works in the same. If the power is abusive, the fact that this man immigration status is being used against him by his woman, she can actually be what they call it, the villain, the same way a man would be. It's looked at exactly the same, and so he can prove that he was being I'm going to call it. I don't even want to say what they call it now. I don't want to say immigrationally, but economically abused only because of his status. It works actually the same way, because what she did was she extorted him through his immigration status, and she bullied him and victimized him through that way, which is almost a path to citizenship. But that's another topic within itself. But Johnny, go ahead and take off.
I was going to say that is oftentimes in that scenario, it's where someone is working for a home or a business person, and they work at their home, and they're using their lack of citizenship to keep them employed. That's where you have that economic extortion mindset that they would use to go after that person. Where in this scenario that Ron described, the lady is alleging domestic violence of the mindset that if he's convicted of it, his immigration status will be mostly what's more important to him than anything else. Where if he was in the United States, a citizen, yeah, it happened, but he ain't getting kicked out. You know what I'm saying? His livelihood isn't ending because of it. So I get that. But look, it is 8:55.
Right.
And we have talked about the children being, pawned, as brother just said, or casualties of war. And at the end of the day, the question comes back: do children see their dad? Do kids stop seeing their dad? When is that ever an issue? And I think we've discussed a lot of that. And Brother Ron, Dr. Ron, you can take it from here as you always do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we was, you rolled on here. We was probably about to wrap up, and then you came in here and threw a couple of grenades in the place. So this is why we were wrapping up when you rolled in, and I think you threw the grenade. But I'll say this: one great thing that the people who watched the whole time, they got to see this ride go from and a place of different dynamics, different ideas, different opinions. And that's what the think tank is all about. It's not about us sitting here, standing on platforms about what we think, blah, 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 but really kind of giving a voice to all of these ideas and people based on our experiences that we have as fathers and through fatherhood and through our personal and professional experience. That's where this comes from. And again, we would like to thank people for joining us. You definitely can join us here Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. The think tank is wide open. Bring your ideas. If you have questions, comments. I didn't see any. I put some out. I want to thank some of the people that was watching. I see you in the YouTube. I see you on the Facebook. I want to thank you guys, Chuck, Rohan, Johnny, 10E, and Lightborn for joining us tonight. And again, folks, listen, if you like what you heard tonight, just hit the bell, like, share, subscribe, share it with somebody. Somebody might have. Let me get this last comment in. From you got to be careful who you give that seed to. Laugh out loud. That's going to be our last comment, last statement for the night. Because I'd like to really interact with the people watching because I want them to know that we are seeing them. They're a part of this conversation, and especially when they're here on the live show. Thank you, Mr. Bolo 78. I appreciate you and all the comments you made tonight. Shout out to you. And if you feel strong, brother, if you get a chance, come on to the think tank and give us some of those live comments. With that being said, I'm gonna forego. I'm just gonna play the sponsors after we get off because we already way past the time. Almost going a 2-hour show. That's not how we go. Anyway, with that being said, I want the Father to repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
Yeah, she did.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of
honor.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I'm Clay.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I am
I
a man
am
of
respect.
Fathers, I say that I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
Say that we are.
Championship.
Here we go, Ron. Here we go. That's right.
Well, we got to, I know, listen, you know, the critics said, hey, you guys got a mad pin line, but listen, we all over the country. We're not one little room, one little place. We're all over the country doing this for you. We see you all here back again next week. Fatherhood Think Tank. Hey, guys, wonderful, wonderful conversation tonight. I mean, my blood is all pumped up, and I think I can move it on to the next day. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all here again next week at the Fatherhood Think Tank.
Good seeing y'all, man.
Be blessed, man.